So this is what I want you to do today. And I've got directions for it also on Elms for you. It will say Stat 430 Mini Tab. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your data, which is going to be the exponential. So what you do is you're going to go into Calculate, Random Data, and then we're going to look for the exponential distribution. Now we're going to use the exponential with the mean of 1, standard deviation of 1. So don't change anything. All we have to do is we want the number of rows that we want to generate. We want a sample of 1,000. And we're going to store that in column 1. So I left click into store in column and I just type in C1. I'm going to hit OK and Minitab will create 1,000 random variables from the exponential. And in that first column that's in gray right under C1, the first cell, I'm going to write exponential. Just like that. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to get some basic statistics. I want to get the mean and standard deviation and some of the other basic statistics. So I'm going to go in here and now if you note when I did that, because I have my editor ready, when I went into the sessions window, I enabled the commands. That actually gives you the Minitab commands that would give you just what I did here. So you could always learn what the commands are by tuning the drop downs and looking at what the commands that got that particular thing that you did. So now to go on, we want to calculate some basic statistics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into statistics and I'm going to go for basic statistics just like I showed you before. And in here I'm going to change my, well first I want my variable. I make sure my cursor's in my variable box. And now I'm going to select exponential by double left clicking on it. Now the statistics I just want to see is the mean, the standard deviation, my total n, not the missing ones or anything, and then I want to get my median and my interquartile range. And I'm going to hit OK, and there will be those basic statistics for this exponential, this random sample of 1,000 from the exponential distribution. Now it's time to create the histogram for this. And the way that you do that is we're going to go on and we're going to go. When we do the histogram, let me go back here. Let's do it with the normal fit, just to see if it's normally distributed, which of course it better not be because it's exponential. I get my variable, so I double left clicked on exponential, and I hit OK, and this is Minitab's default histogram, which is not always good, and we're going to change that around. So there's lots you can do in Minitab. We can change the titles and everything. So I'm going to say, change the name of this to I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to change some of the scaling on the x-axis. So I put my cursor real close to it and I double left click. When I do this, I get edit scale. And the things that I want to do is I want to change the binning. I don't want my cut points in the middle. I want them at the end points. I want my tick marks rather at the cut points. So instead of being at the midpoint, I want to put them at the cut points. And I'm going to specify a number of intervals. And I'm going to specify that we have 20 bars. And I'm going to hit OK. And as you can note, this is clearly right skewed, clearly exponential, and not normal, as you can see. Now remember, we're trying to illustrate the central limit theorem. So what we're going to do is we're now going to create a sampling distribution. But the first thing that you're going to want to do is learn how to get that histogram into a Word document. All you do is right-click in that graph, copy graph, go to a Word document, and paste it in the Word document. So if this is problem 1 in our formatting in Word, we would go basic statistics, and 2 is our histogram of the exponential. And we can actually take from Minitab and put those things in here. Now, when you're formatting, make sure you do an extra space. You'll have a formatting nightmare. But let's first get those basic statistics that we did. I can do Control-C, or you could right-click and hit Copy. Either way, however you do that. I want to go into my Word document, and I'm going to Control-V or paste, either one. And now I have those basic statistics. Now if I want that histogram, I go back in here and I have to grab my histogram. And you, like I said, you right click in here, hit copy, or you can put your cursor in there and do Control C, both will work. And now we're ready to get that into our document for our exponential. Save a place there. And now I can make my histogram that I made in Minitab. And Minitab's pretty nice. It's got a lot of really cool stuff in there. So I can change this and make a nice histogram for me to see it. Now, the third thing that we want to do is we want to now start to make our sampling distribution. And I'm going to do a sampling distribution of size 9. Samples of size 9. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to go into my calculation again. I want my random data and I want it to be exponential, and I'm going to go do it for columns C2 through C10, because I don't want to ever get rid of the data that I already had in there. So C1 through C10 would give me my sample of size 9. I'm going to hit OK, and as you can see, that's all my data. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the means of these 1,000 pieces of rows that I got for each of these columns. So in C11 is going to be the mean of a sample of size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in here, I'm going to write n equal 9 so that I know that I'm in the sampling distribution of samples of size 9. And in fact, if I wanted to be more clear, I could just say sampling n equal 9. Okay. So in here, I'm going to say calculate row statistics. And I just want the means because we're doing this sampling distribution of the sample mean for samples of size 9. So now I've got to tell Minitab where to get the input variables. Well, I want it from C2. I put my hand all the way down on the shift button, and I can do that, and I can collect my data this way, or in here, so I could select those, or I could have just written C2 through C10, and it will give me the means for each of those rows for those thousands of rows of data that I just generated. So I hit OK, and and I want to store it in. I gotta let it know where I want to store it in. I want to store it in C11. Otherwise, it won't know where to store those. So now I've got those means of each of these samples of size 10. And like I said, I have 1,000 samples that I made. So each one of these have a sample of size 9, and there's the means. So that's the sampling distribution of the samples of size 9. And I'm going to graph that. So I'm going to make a histogram with a fit. But this time I want it for C11. So I could either write C11 in here, or I could have left clicked onto that. Both ways would have gotten the data in there for me. So I'm going to hit OK. This is Minitab's default. Now take a look at that. Look how it's starting to look a little more normal. It's still right skewed, but it's looking a whole lot more normal. So we want to make this a little nicer. And we can make the titles nicer too when we do this. But I'm going to go in here and change that scale like I did before. I want the binning changed. Instead of my tick marks at the midpoint, I want them at the cut point. And again, I'm going to do the same number of intervals, 20. So we have graphs that relatively look the same. So I can copy this graph and put it into a Word document. Now you're going to do a little more than this. So I've got the directions for you, histogram. And I tell you kind of explicitly how to do this stuff so you won't get lost. But I just kind of want to show you what's going on in here. So this is my new graph for the sampling distribution of samples of size 9. And you can see the progression in this pretty clearly. That's starting to look more and more normally distributed. So now my next sampling distribution, I'm going to do samples of size 30. And here we go. I'm going to go into here. I want to calculate into calculate random data, again for the exponential. This time I'm going into C12 to C41 to give me a sample of size 30. I'm going to hit OK. And when I get to the very end of this, now we have to get our sampling distribution of size 30. So I want to calculate row statistics from 12 to 41, just like we did before. Store it in 42. Hit OK. And now this is the sampling for n equals 30. And we're going to take a look at that sampling distribution. Again, we can get our random data, our descriptive statistics of our data, and we'll do that. But I want to graph and look at this histogram just so that you can get a really good idea of the beauty of the central limit theorem. So I go down here, my sampling distribution, I hit OK, and look at that. It's virtually normal. It's a really nice normal looking distribution. And so you can copy that and put it in your graph. So I hope this helps you a bit in how to do what I want you to do as an assignment and also as a good introduction into Minitab. Thanks. Bye.